guys, today I'm going to be installing a few add-ons to my bike. Not everything will be connected to the battery, so yeah, it's just gonna give you a chance to see how I organize my storage, my boot. So now I need to remove these plastics. Reason being, some of those electrical components that I want to connect to the battery, I could of course connect them to these ports here, but I just don't like to connect. I had them connected there before and I just didn't like it because they're just too close to each other. So what I'm actually going to do, I want to remove this bracket, which is why the plastics have to be removed, just to give me better access to that screw there, and on the other side of course. And yeah, and then I will be connecting directly to the actual terminals on the battery. So the first pin you need to remove is this one here, and you're probably familiar with this process already. It's quite straightforward. What you need to do is press, and it should come loose, and obviously then you just need something to force it out. So that's how it looks. And then you just push the pin back out so that you can safely put it back in. So that's the first one. The other pin you need to remove, and this is a little bit trickier, is this one here. And to remove this one, you need to actually pull out the inner pin, and you need something quite thin to get in there and to kind of pull it out. There you go. So once the pin is pulled out, then it's the same process. You just need some sort of leverage to pull the entire pin out. As you can see, it's slightly different from the other one, whereas the previous one you just press the inner pin in, which releases the entire pin, whereas this one you have to pull out the inner one, and you just leave it like that, because then you can basically just put it back in. So the third one is basically this one here. Rotate it counterclockwise and it comes loose, and that's it. Another thing that is quite important is when you remove the plastic, if you start with the left hand side, what you need to do, you press the opposite side a bit, because there's a bit of a hook that gets them to stay together, and the pin of course helps in that respect as well. But yeah, just make sure you either press or lift a little bit so that you can release it. Then you just need to slowly pull it out and it just comes loose. So before I start getting things connected, I just want to show you kind of what my requirements actually are. So I got this device here, which is my inflator. So this one comes with an SAE connector, and it's called motor presser. So I highly recommend it. It's fast, it's not too loud. I mean, it's not louder than the typical ones anyway. And yeah, you can connect in here like a pressure gauge, so that you can monitor how much pressure you actually have on your tire when you inflate it. I actually have a keyring pressure gauge. So I usually, when I'm inflating, I usually just connect the pressure gauge here and measure the pressure like that every 10 seconds or so as I'm inflating the tire. Anyway, so basically I'm gonna need to have a connection through this connector to my bike. So another device is I have a USB charging port, which is sitting on my is attached to my handlebars, and that also comes with an SAE connector, same as the one that I showed you earlier. I also have my connector for my heated gear for winter, which, even though we're not in winter anymore, I'm just going to keep it connected to the bike, and I'm just going to hide the connector itself underneath the seat and just reveal it when the winter comes. But yeah, this connects to the battery. I also have this connector itself is more like, yes, SAE extension or whatever you want to call it. But again, the reason why I use this one is my Optimate version 4 has actually an SAE connector. So I basically connect this to the battery and keep this port available, so that anytime I want to attach my Optimate to my battery, I just attach it to this port. So I have now run all the cables. I'm going to put that bracket that was here, I'm going to put it back, because eventually I ended up using these two terminals here. So you can see, so this is the cable for the heated gear that I have. I've basically got 3 devices. Now that's one. The other one is the USB socket, and the third one is the connector here that I run it to the back of the bike, and I'm just gonna keep it inside that tube there, which is part of the frame. I'm just gonna keep it like that. I had enough space here to add the motor compressor as well, which is the inflator, and this is a socket for it. I also want to show you what usually goes underneath my seat. So you should be pretty familiar with this. So this is the tire rescue kit, So I usually carry 2 types. So I got these screw-in plugs, 4 of them. And I got the strips themselves. These are probably the ones that people are mostly familiar with. I've got some tire valve caps. I don't expect I'm ever going to use them, but they don't take much space. This is the rubber solution, which is basically, it's kind of like some sort of glue that you use when patching the tire. I've got these little pliers which I bought from Temu. Very handy. It basically opens like this, and yeah, it's very handy for for grabbing the strips, for example, when you pull them through this little tool here. Got a few other bits to it, like a little knife, a very tiny screwdriver, a file. Not sure I'm ever going to use that, and God, I don't even know what that is, so probably won't ever use it either. But yeah, the plier is very useful, and the fact that it's very compact is just actually awesome. Really nice. So that's that, and goes in here. Got a few fuses here as well. Could come in very handy. Also, in this same little bag, I've got like the instructions for my heated gear, what kind of fuse to use for the different, depending on whether I'm using the gloves or just a jacket, etc. Yeah, so, but yeah, these fuses can be used anywhere. So yeah, they all go in this little bag. I always carry a zip tie. Could come in handy to know. So yeah, that's the zip tie, and then this is just the normal tools of the bike that the bike comes with. No point showing what's in there, because surely if you don't know, I advise you take a look to see. It's good idea to know what tools come with the bike. And that's it really. So most of these bits here, like the strips, the plugs, and the valve caps, they all go in this little bag. This can also go in there, and all we need to do now is pretty much lock the bag and arrange everything underneath the seat. That could be a bit of a mission, but eventually it is possible, and I'll show you in a minute the end result. So this is how I'm going to arrange it. What you need to be very careful is, and this may take me a few attempts, because what you need to make sure is that you can actually lock the seat. And basically that means that when you place all these pieces in here, you need to make sure that these hooks here are still going to be operational, because this is where, and this stuff here, this is where the seat actually, this is the hardware that basically locks the seat onto the frame, onto the bike. So yeah, that should do it. So I'll just show you again. So the tools, the tire kit, the two tools to operate with the strips, the glue, and that's it really. So, but yeah, now stretch it and lock it in. Right, and now let's try the seat. That's it. Yeah, I just hope that this was helpful to you, and if it was, share, subscribe, I'd really appreciate it, and see you on the next one.